recovery, the process of regaining, retrieving, or returning to a normal state. I think bouncing back from emergency facial surgery counts.
Good morning. I've been rehabbing the last couple of days. Feeling better, honestly, I'm not that banged up. The main thing is just that, I got these tubes in my jaw, and today is the day that they're supposed to go and remove them. So I'm really excited about that. Super gross. This is all disgusting. That's why I'm not going to bring the camera any closer. It's like gross. But, after all this, I definitely think I want to just focus on making, just telling stories, not worrying so much about the production. Sorry if you hear like the suction sound of the tube, but I just don't want to wait, because I had a bunch of videos that I was planning on putting out before all this happened, and then that just totally took me out, and I've been so antsy. Just sitting in the house all day is the worst. I'm bored. I'm losing my mind. I want to get out. I can't go out in public. Like, this looks crazy. And then the worst part is it's just gross. This whole thing, everything in here is disgusting. It's just wet and moist. I don't know, man. I miss being around people. Like, I missed a lot, being in this condition, and it just makes me really appreciate interaction, life, sunlight, trees, just anything other than being stuck, because it's hard to just sit still. When they told me I had to stay in the hospital, I was like, and do what? There's nothing to do in here. And then I'm like, well, can I get, can we rearrange these lights a little bit? Maybe we could set up a camera over here. They're like, sir, this is a hospital. We are not a studio. What are you doing? Anyways, I got my appointment pretty early, which is nice. So I guess I should take a shower, clean this up, change this gauze, and then get ready to go see my surgeon. Get me a new face. Just having a little ice cream for breakfast. They said there's no restrictions, but it's so hard. Plus, it's a total mess. Smoothies and ice cream is all I'm eating. I cannot wait to bite a burger or anything else. Going through this and knowing that I have insurance, yeah, there was moments when I was sitting in the hospital after it was all done, and I'm like, oh, I gotta pay for this. And, as a creative entrepreneur, especially early on in my career, I didn't have that. I didn't have that kind of stability. It was just, me out there trying to make a buck, and that's cool. But, when you got kids to take care of, and, you're getting older, you can't be out here without insurance. And, any small medical issue can completely change your plans. So get you some insurance.
Everybody, who you gotta eat right next? I mean, we all gonna die, but at least if you got some coverage, you will die on a mattress.
My abscess ruptured hours before my planned surgery, so this was the first time I got to thank my surgeon. And because my circumstances changed, there's a chance to slow my recovery. You don't want to go through stuff like that in life by yourself. I don't wish that on anybody. If you got people in your lives, appreciate them, hold them close, tell them you love them. You never know when you're not going to get a chance to, because a lot of what I was thinking was a bunch of unfinished business, a bunch of things that I started that I wouldn't get to finish. Not even necessarily forever, but just even for the week. You just assume you can do stuff tomorrow or this weekend. And all of a sudden I couldn't. This week I've been sending my kid to school with whatever's left in his closet because I didn't get to finish doing laundry because I just assumed I was going to do it. When I went to the hospital that day, I went at noon and I was sure I was going to be home by 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock if it got crazy. I did not leave for several days. And that just completely threw everything off. People have these experiences and then they all have this big awakening, and I see it. It's so clear. How could you not have an experience like this and then return to your normal life and not appreciate it a little bit more? How can you not be you know what? I should probably try harder, love more, enjoy the most important things. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna not worry so much about things that don't matter. I'm gonna have a little bit more fun. And since I'm in rehab, we can rehab together.
That did not go exactly how I thought it was going to go. I thought they were going to remove the stitches and I was going to be clear and I was just going to have my unshaven face to get used to. Instead, they left a big hole in my face and he told me it's going to heal. It'll just close by itself. And I'm like, yeah, like cuts and scrapes will close by themselves in 10 days, but that looks like that's going to take like 3 weeks. Are you for real right now? Like, this is a legitimate hole in my face and I'm a little irritated about it. I don't know. I talked to the surgeon, he's the one who did it. He said it's fine. He wanted to make sure the infection's out, which is cool. But yeah, I showed it to some people. Everyone agrees. It probably could have closed a little bit more. I guess that means I'm going to be in the house for a little bit longer than I expected. I was hoping that today was going to be a big coming out party. I was going to go to the movies and go do stuff. Probably not, because this is still super gross. I just ate a meal. That was nice. And it did not spill all over me. So it looks like, because the tubes are gone, maybe stuff still falls through, but just not as much. I don't know. Like, if I showed you this hole, it's gnarly. Like, there is a crevasse in my face. It's not like a cut. Like, I thought it was like a cut. It is not a slice from a scalpel. It is what you would imagine an earthquake would leave behind. There is a crater in my face. One of the worst parts about being hurt or sick is that everybody just keeps asking what happened. And you don't want to talk about it. So I'm out here at 6 a.m. with sunglasses and a scarf to avoid people. I miss being around them, but I also just want to blend in. And it's a little hard right now. I've been not home for so long. I had to get out and get some milk. And I just was like, let me get some fresh air. Like, it's nice to be able to be out here. Not as many people out here looking at me. And also just occurred to me, I've never actually explained what happened. It was a lot. It was intense, and it was fast. Basically, the swelling had progressed so bad that the infection had caused there to be, it's going to be a little gross, guys. So if you're squeamish, you can fast forward a couple notches. But my face had filled with pus, and they had to do a surgical incision in order to release it because they were afraid it was going to get released in my bloodstream, which is what would have made it life-threatening. It was crazy because, I'd been sitting in the hospital that whole day. I spoke to the doctor like maybe 5-6 hours in, so she told me that that's what they were going to do. But because they had waited all day, I figured they were just waiting to get somebody available so they can do it. And then they just kind of said, hey, we need to keep you overnight. We can't let you leave. It's not safe. You mentioned that you have a son. Does he have somewhere to go? Because he can't come to the hospital. You're going to be here for some days. And also, if you leave here, you're going to start all over at the beginning of the line. And I'm like freaking out because I had been sitting there all day. No one had ever said anything like this. I could have had all day to get things in order. And then all of a sudden they were like, and if you can't figure something out, we can contact child services. And I'm like, whoa, how did we get to child services so quickly? Real heavy. It was a lot, and it was all in a moment. And it's so much. It's just so many questions that you don't think about. And then eventually it got to, all right, so who's your power of attorney in case, you go under anesthesia, you don't wake up. And I'm like, whoa, anesthesia, not wake up. I thought this was, you sit down, you guys cut me open, we keep it moving. They're like, no, this is an under the knife anesthesia surgery. We can't let you leave after surgery. You can't go home by yourself. You can't even get an Uber home. Like, a person who who is definitely going to be there for 24 hours has to be in your home. We have to get you home health care. It was just, it went from like what I thought was a mild inconvenience to kind of earth-shattering for me, because there were so many questions that I had never really thought about. I wasn't ready, and that's what made it so terrifying. So yeah, it was a toothache, sort of, but it turned into so much more. It just gave me a wake-up call, It really scared me. I missed a lot. Like, I was supposed to take this really cool class. I missed that. I missed a 2-day job. Those days when my tooth first started hurting, I left work extra early. Like, I worked for 4 hours and was going home. I lost a lot of money. I lost a lot of opportunity. When you don't work, you fall out of favor. You fall out of the network. Like, talking about working for the man and all that is a real cool position when you are able to. But when the chips are down, when you're not in good health, some of them benefits come in handy.
All this downtime has just got me focused on actually really cleaning, really saying goodbye to some stuff. And honestly, I know you guys have been watching me remodel the apartment, and after living in it for a while, I think I made some mistakes. It's better than it was for sure, because now I have like more storage for things, but it's a little congested. I'm doing stuff, and that's the key, man. I can't just keep sitting around here doing nothing. It doesn't feel right. It's not me. I thought recovery was about getting back to normal, but after this experience, I realized it's about fixing what doesn't work. Bad habits, sloppy routines, and honestly just not being prepared. If it were just me, then that'd be acceptable, but I got a kid to worry about, so I gotta tighten up. So now that you guys know the full story of what actually happened, we got to come up with a better one, because that's just not going to cut it. I had this emergency microfacial surgery, and the legend just doesn't really cut it. Brushed into a burning building to save a puppy, or dove in front of a school bus to save a small child. Just something a little bit more epic. And everyone sees the photos and they're like, oh, did you fall off your skateboard? Did you get in a car accident? Nah, I just had a toothache, and it's just not hit. Be honest, I know when you heard life-threatening surgery, you assumed it was something far more severe, and unfortunately, just not that great of a story. I'm open to all suggestions. Please put them in the comment section below. Let's see if we can really zhuzh this thing up. I mean, I don't know what you guys have. Maybe you read a good story in the paper, or you have just a really creative imagination. Please give me something else to say. I'll tell them the truth, but we got to start with something a little bit more interesting, and then we'll bring them back with the reality after the fact. Not to mention, with this hole in my face, I'm going to be recovering for a while, so I'd like to have something a little bit more interesting to say. Put your ideas in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one.